Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
Hey everybody, it's Tom Foster in the World of Marketing, and I've got my good buddy Adam Rossen here. And this is this is number 2 for you, right?
It is. You know, it reminds me of Ric Flair, right? 2-time World of Marketing person.
Well, there you go.
Now, I can't help it that I'm custom made. I can't help it that I look good, smell good, can dance all night long. I can't help it.
I was going to go with like SNL host, but, you know, that's Ric Flair. That's better.
Florida just said WWE is an essential business, so Ric Flair's been on my mind.
It's great. Well, how are you, my friend?
Good. Doing as well as any criminal defense lawyer can be during this time.
Well, that is why we're talking, because you and I had a conversation last week and you got a lot of great ideas, you and your team, and you are a great marketer. As a matter of fact, I was just talking about you with somebody else from across the pond, Ronnie Conway.
Okay.
And we were talking about the quarantini. I don't know if you started doing that yet. But.
Well, it's in our newsletter, but we haven't put it out yet on Facebook, like as a contest. So
he was saying like, yes, Adam's a great marketer. So he follows you, and I was like, yes, he's up to some fun, cool things.
Good. Well, look, I think anything with this marketing, most of it's just coming up with crazy ideas and then just doing it.
Do it.
That's marketing, right? Exactly. Yeah. And good for you. And you're brave. You're a brave lad. You're creative, and the stuff that you're doing, the stuff you were doing before was cool. Now this just kind of steps up. And the other thing is that so many other of your competitors have just given up, right?
Right. I think there is a bit of Darwinism in this that will happen. I think there's a lot of people who will be retiring early and just giving up. I think there's a lot of people who just put their head in the sand now and then will deal with it when it's over. And all of those things, I think, are the exact wrong type of mindset to have. For me, it's been more of just, in a way, I think I'm driving everybody in my firm crazy because I'm bored. Since I'm not in court, and our daily life has been disruptive. I'm just bored and trying to come up with all these marketing ideas. So I'm just every minute, every few minutes, I'm like, oh, let's do that. And what about this? And what about this? And, we can only do so much.
I think you should do this. I think you should do podcasts and interview local businesses.
Well, so we were hoping for a June 1st start date for our podcast. We have a little room that we were turning into a podcast studio. But the last few weeks, I'm like, well, I don't know if we really need that anymore. We can just do it like this. And I have been doing that. So my partner Manny had a great idea a few weeks ago. He was just like so many of us were dissatisfied with what the news is telling us, and there's really not enough local stories and just behind the scenes from some healthcare providers and people on the front line. So he just came up with an idea, and he said, I'm going to start interviewing people. So he's done a few already. He interviewed a nurse who's working one of the COVID tents at Miami, in a major hospital in Miami. That was great. I mean, it was so informative. We had so many people tuning in. He's finished up another one. A friend of his is a big time event planner down in Miami, and their industry is gone. Just literally, it's kind of like in what was it, Avengers? What was it? Was it Endgame? No, the one before Endgame, Infinity War, right? Where just snapped his fingers, and industries are gone. And for the time being, event planning is done. And he was talking to her all about that, and it was great. And I did a therapist roundtable where I interviewed 3 therapists who are friends and referral sources of mine. and we actually cut it up into individual pieces for each of the therapists to give them back. So now, we're using it for information, we're using it for marketing, but we're also using it to further develop or strengthen our referral relationships and now give them something of value. So we're just trying to be creative. And I was on I shot a call with Andy Rosenberg today. We were on and I interviewed him about estate planning. He interviewed me about criminal law.
Awesome.
So trying to do something so I don't lose my mind.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad you did that. How did it go with Andy?
Oh, it was fun. It was fun. It was good. I mean, we'll probably post that next week or so. But yeah, it was good. And look, people, you assume that I know about estate planning. I don't know anything about estate planning. I'm a criminal lawyer. So even just interviewing him, I learned a lot about the most important things to get done, and not just like a trust or a will, but even healthcare, healthcare directives and durable power of attorneys and stuff like that. So really informative.
Think about how you can I'm sorry to interrupt you, but think about how you can connect that now to your own clients. Mm-hmm. Like you just get somebody out of trouble, or and now you're like, now what are you going to do with yourself? Now maybe you should,
right.
Plan ahead, and now you have something else to offer them.
Well, my clients usually get in trouble because they don't plan ahead.
Right. Well,
but we try to encourage them and really, we take a very positive approach to criminal.
When bad things happen to good people.
Right. It's right.
Exactly.
There.
Now they're good people, and now they can, get their act together. The next step is do a plan, get your estate plan done, and now you have like a further thing to offer them.
Right. So we're going to push that out to our list when everything gets edited. He's going to push it. He's going to push that out to his list, plus our, his interview of me. So yeah.
I hope everybody heard that, because this is exactly why I wanted to interview you again, because you are the sauce, the secret sauce that people need to hear, because you are a traditionally criminal lawyer whose inventory dried up, right? Yeah. Literally dried up. There's nobody out on the streets. Well, they're not supposed to be.
Right.
Well, I mean, the volume is dried up. And so you've got, like we said, you got a couple choices. You can quit, you can pretend like it's not happening, or you can pivot. And that's what you have done, is you've pivoted, and you're like, okay, well, that's not the way things aren't happening anymore. Let me try something else. Right. Which is, I applaud you. Great job on that.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know if I myself will be handling bankruptcies, divorce, or those kind of things.
Well, you don't need to do that, but you
right.
That you can refer them to now. But before,
right,
exactly. You weren't even thinking about that.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's just
great. It's funny how you said that about the Avengers, whatever, the Infinity War, whatever the hell it was.
Right.
But it reminded me of my own back in the day when I was in the software business. This is back probably before you were born, Adam. But maybe. Back when they put software on.
I look younger than I am, though. I moisturize. I actually, right now through Zoom, I have the filter on. I have the filter on that gets rid of wrinkles. So,
that's good.
Tom, you can actually click a button on Zoom.
Yeah, that de-ages you.
It's not like Snapchat, but
work as well for me. I have that on, like all the filters. But yeah, I went to that too. The software business is gone. CompUSA, bye.
Right.
That's when internet came, and I was into unemployment. I mean, like, it was obviously different circumstances, but I was in unemployment. I was a guy making 6 figures one day and then had nothing, and it was pretty scary. But I pivoted, and that's how I ended up. It was 20 plus years ago.
Right. I remember going to CompUSA as a kid. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, I was a guy that put a lot of those boxes on the shelves back in those days. And then that was over and done. and all of those CompUSA, 800 stores,
Wow.
but Computer City, Best Buy used to have tons of software. Anyway, point is
Right.
that this is what happens. And some of those business like Best Buy, they changed, they pivoted. They sell things differently now.
Right.
They adapted to it.
So they adapted, but Circuit City didn't.
No,
right?
you were talking about Circuit City, I think, the other day when we were talking. Yeah,
Right.
Circuit City could not hang in there.
Right.
A lot of places did not adapt.
Toys R Us, they're gone.
I heard they're coming back. I thought somebody bought their name and they're bringing them back.
I think I heard that too.
Like Twinkies.
Yeah.
Remember Twinkies went away, but somebody bought them and brought them back. So there's hope.
They might not have brought them back. They might just have kept all of the ones that didn't go bad, because don't they have like 100-year shelf life?
Yeah, I think that's the
right.
That because I was watching Comedians in Cars with the Seinfeld show, and he like went to the what is that, a whole lots or whatever, and bought a bunch of Twinkies, and it reminded me of that. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
We digress as usual.
Yeah.
But back to what you're doing. So that's fantastic. So like that's the message. So just don't just be like, don't make excuses. Don't listen to everybody else, all the other naysayers out there that say, oh, your business is dead because, DUI, nobody's driving. It's not true. I mean, like the lawyers are needed now more than ever.
Absolutely.
And people people call you up and they ask you for help regardless of what it is.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. We about a month ago we wrote a few blog posts about the coronavirus. One of them is about breaking quarantine, and our traffic is skyrocketed. What?
It's number one.
Oh yeah. We're getting calls from across the country now. They're not turning into leads, but it's the web traffic's up. We're helping people. I'm giving free advice, even just and at least we're doing something now. Hopefully it'll translate into case.
So that's an important thing. I just want to interrupt. I'm like interrupting you too much. I apologize. But one thing is that you've got to remember, and everybody's got to remember, that it's not just like, you're not going to get a sale like that on something like that. You're building a relationship. That's step one.
Right.
And I hope Brian Kurtz hears this podcast. He'll be proud of me for saying this, because that is the first step in the relationship is that. And so people that come to that page because they're like, am I going to get tossed in jail for breaking, the quarantine or whatever in Florida or nationwide? They're going to get your page, but that is building a relationship with your brand right away. And so you're getting that traffic. We talked about a couple of different ways to capitalize on that traffic, to maybe get their, obviously we'd like to get their name, address, phone number, whatever we can. You're not going to get everybody. And maybe you don't want everybody, but hey, that is a good, positive thing to be doing with everything going on today.
Well, even like after we spoke last week, I have a friend that owns a local seafood restaurant, and they were doing specials for stone crabs. So I called, we're at the end of the season. So I called them up. We talked, I messaged him Friday night. Him and we talked on Saturday. And he was basically telling me how, with supply and demand, he's like, these fishermen, the crabbers for the Florida stone crabs, like they're pulling their traps up. Normally it's May 15th. He's like, we might be done in a week or two, and the season is just going to be over. He's like, so the price has come down so much. He's like, I'm $15 a pound. I'm selling them now. Take out. He's like, I got a whole delivery or a whole conveyor belt, like, like a Ford factory system. And we're bringing it right to the cars in the parking lot. So his name's Dewey. And I just said, Dewey, what can I do for you? You're a friend. Let me just pump it out on our social media. Cause he didn't really want to be interviewed or anything like that. So we just pumped it out and he shared it. And I think we had 2,500 people view it. Wow. And a bunch of my friends, people I hadn't talked to in years, were like, oh my God, Adam, that's amazing. I just picked up 5 pounds, I think on last Saturday, he got a shipment of 160 pounds of stone crab claws. So just stuff like that, and him and I go back and we talk every once in a while, but just nice local business owner to local business owner. What can I do to help him?
That is a fantastic story. And that's, we were talking about that. How can you help? Is he a client?
No, he's not a client of mine, but I've known him. And the thing is that, look, he owns a restaurant. A lot of my clients are bartenders, servers, and everything. So as far as referrals, I may have represented one or two of his employees in the past, but.
Hey, but so, okay, once again, another great example of how you turn, tragedy or whatever you want to call it, bad situation, is something good that you would not have normally done. And so we were talking about this, and I'm glad you did it, about how you got a lot of restaurants and the bartenders and these people that you might have represented as individuals, but they're owners of restaurants or bars, or none of us are getting our haircut. I mean, it looks like you got a nice haircut.
Well, so I got a story for you about the haircut.
Tell me about
if
that.
I may. So about 2 weeks ago, well, I had a haircut appointment about a month ago, and I know I needed it, but I just wasn't going to go out in public and deal with that. So my wife cut my hair, kind of faded me out a little bit. She did pretty well. She a few lines right here, but now you can't tell. It was 2 weeks ago. So I'll give you a shout out.
I'm not letting my wife touch mine. No way. I said,
she did a good job.
Boy, I'm going to get.
You can find anything on YouTube these days.
Jason Momoa, whatever that Momoa, whatever is Aquaman. I'm going to get that look going on. Not from the Rocket Mortgage commercial.
No. No.
But yeah. So, I mean, that's really a message to so many of the lawyers out there that are like, what do I do? Well, why don't you go out and help instead of being me, and get the cases from me? You're sitting around, your staff is sitting around. What can you do to help your clients? What can you do to help those business owners that are really stuck and they don't know? And just doing something like that, interviewing them, putting it out there, talking about it. That's fantastic. Good for you.
Yeah, we called all of our clients 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. We just divvied it up among everybody. We've made we're calling former clients now just to check in, just see how they're doing. Obviously, current clients wanted to know about what's going on with court, in their cases. So we gave those updates as well. But just trying to call people, have conversations, and just see what we can do to help.
I was just talking, I did a earlier podcast with my good friend, Jim Keller, who's Keller & Keller, a big injury firm up in Indiana. They're in Indiana, Michigan, and New Mexico. And they do injury law, really focusing on truck accidents. They're nationally well known for that. And Social Security, disability, other injuries. But I was asking him about, and I want to ask you the same question because it impacts you too, about how do you think that this is going to change the court system? I mean, so please.
So it's a good question. I'm like the anti-lawyer. I didn't like law school. I thought it was a bunch of people in their ivory towers who don't really practice law, treating us like shit, making us feel like we're stupid. And I still feel that there's a lot of that from the bar leadership, from the courts in general. And look, that's one of the main things that really attracted me to our great friend Ben Glass, is that he's in a way, the antithesis of the established bar. And that really rung true with me. So I don't know, in Florida, they were quick to act with allowing notaries over Zoom or over, video chat for depositions, right? So here we are, we went remote, whatever it was, I don't know, maybe March 21st-ish or so, right? And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to be able to get this stuff done. We're going to be able to take depositions, subpoena the officers, do it that way. Our court reporter, she sent us this long email saying she's all set up. And then the police officer, the agencies and those lawyers just say, no, we're not doing it. And I'm like, your cops aren't on the road. They're not doing proactive policing. They have nothing to do. Why not? Zoom can be hacked. And I go, well, okay, that it can, but there's many ways to prevent Zoom from being hacked. So, one of the mantras that we have in our firm and that I've actually brought to my personal life, my family as well, is get me to yes, right? And we always say, get me to yes. Now, there's some exceptions and some kind of cases that we deal with, right? Some dating and stuff. We don't always want to get to yes, right? It can get you in trouble, but get me to yes. And these agencies, they just don't care. And it's an excuse after an excuse. It's, and I'm like, wait, you mean to tell me they're not using Zoom for their virtual Easter dinner or their virtual Passover Seder from their personal phone? So why can't we just do it? And the answer is no, right? So the court system, it's similar with that. They're gonna, I've had a few Zoom calls with judges, and it was actually pretty funny because I had this background still up. So I was, so we were doing it with me, the prosecutor, witnesses, and everything. But it was she was a great judge. She is a great judge, so she thought it was funny. But I don't know, right? Because I can tell you in August and September, without a vaccine, I don't really want to go to court. Why can't we do
Are they really going to delay things that long?
Well, I don't know. In Florida, we're closed through the month of May. So let's say am I going to go to trial June 10th on a case? I don't want to. What's going to happen when we go sidebar? Are there going to be jurors there? So certain things like that. But even like a status hearing, do I really want to go to that, dirty, disgusting courthouse, or can I do something like this? I'd rather do it like this.
There's other things too, Adam, like the fact that pollution is there's no pollution now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And like the seismic activity of the earth has like decreased so much. And like, because people aren't out driving,
right.
There's no traffic, they're not out, like all the jurors don't have to be there. Everybody has to be there at a certain time. Everybody has to show pumping fumes into the atmosphere.
Right.
Mother Earth, right, wrong, or indifferent, is pissed at humanity for this. And, this is our own fault ultimately. This is brought on by humanity's growth and not taking care of the growth of just us growing ridiculously. And it's not like that's going to stop. But at the same time, I would argue that if we're going to go do that irresponsibly, well, we are doing it irresponsibly. We have to be responsible in terms of making sure that we have the right medicine, making sure that we have the equipment,
right,
for our front line, the army of doctors and nurses and medics that are on the front lines. You were just talking about, Manny interviewing them. Like these people that we just like throw out there and say, by the way, no gear for you. Right. It's just wrong on so many levels. And this is what we have to learn. I hope to God. And it's not just here in the US, it's not just here. It's the world. The world has to get their act together. As humanity needs to get their act together and realize this problem that we've created for ourselves.
Right. Well, and despite all of that, we have seen a lot of positive, changes, a lot of people coming together. Of course, think we all wish it was done faster. I even remember Valentine's Day weekend, my wife and I went up to Universal Studios in Orlando, and we were just kind of like, being like, hey, I wonder if anybody here has it or what's going on, or nah, it's not going to be here. It's going to be a minor thing. I remember being in Las Vegas, maybe there was the same weekend as the McGregor fight. So what was it? Maybe it was MLK weekend. So about third weekend in January-ish. And that's when a lot of this stuff we were first starting to really hear about it. We're in Las Vegas. Las Vegas for a fight weekend for a bachelor party. So it was packed. And I remember just walking around going, I wonder if anybody here has it. I remember it was right around the time of the Chinese New Year. There were lots of Chinese people. And I just remember walking around going, are these people okay? Are they not? Do they have,
Sure.
and that was even in January. And I feel like we really didn't get our act together until first week or second week in March. So.
And that was not that long ago. And we still
No.
don't have our act together.
No.
I mean, we do not have the gear. I mean, I don't, well, anyway.
Right.
Not to go
But you
down
know, Tom, what you said before though about like the law and adapting, here's one thing that I think is very interesting, right? So before this whole pandemic, right, restaurants couldn't deliver alcohol, right? It was just not allowed. But you know, you ask, but why? I don't know, because it's not allowed, because it's against the law, because the government made these arbitrary rules, right? These aren't 10 commandment laws, it's regulation. And then as soon as all of these things happening, what's one of the very first things they relax? Oh, restaurants can now deliver you your bottle of wine or your beer or your, whatever, right? And so I always kind of think that's funny how, certain things that whether it's the government or a judicial system, and the answer is, well, no. And when you say why, because I said so, right? And
right, because it's always been this way.
Right. Any of these things that the establishment puts forth, and when you ask why, it just there's no logical answer. But you have something like this, and now the rules are out the window. People need their alcohol. they have to be drinking.
The idea was that if they delivered alcohol, then people wouldn't go to the restaurants, and they want people to come to the restaurants because they've got the rent and they've got the whole atmosphere, and they've got it's a justification for them to come to their ego is in the restaurant, the owners of the restaurant. Now it's like, please, someone buy our food.
Right.
Now it's a whole different mentality, and we'll deliver the alcohol with it. And now it's a completely shifted thing,
right.
Which I think that's great. I think that's and by the way, isn't that safer? It
is.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I know that's kind of counter to your business, sadly. I mean, more, people driving on the roads means more DUIs and all that stuff. But I'm sure, you are in agreement with me. It's better to have less people driving on the roads. It's beautiful outside, right? Because there's a less pollute, and look how quickly that happened.
I think in 2 weeks,
the stars in the sky now.
I think dolphins return to Venice in 2 weeks. I read, this was a month or two ago.
This is the world has reacted this way. I mean, the rainforest might be able to recover. I mean, and so in many, I was being a little tongue in cheek, but I'm, the Mother Earth is angry, and we will, she's in charge, man. And so we've been out of control. And so I hate to say it, but there's so many, it's a terrible thing, the lives, the tragedy, but the other side of it, the little things like what you're pointing out, but, and just spending time with your family, I go for walks every day, and I see how many people are out with their family, kids and moms and dads and dogs walking around where you never saw them before. I've never seen these people before.
So I live in a community too, and we have an 8-month-old son. So now to me, I'm like, I don't know what day it is. It doesn't really matter. It's I do a little work, play with him. My wife's working from home too. So we're all hanging out more, which is great. We're going for walks around the community, seeing, we're keeping we're saying hello, but we're keeping our distance.
And aren't people so friendly?
Great.
Everybody's
yeah.
As long as you keep your distance. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Good to see you. People you didn't even see. My wife is a teacher, and she's teaching virtually. And they it's a private school. They adapted right away to it, and they've just done a fantastic job. My kids, but and she's a good teacher and takes it very seriously. And before, she'd be up early. Stressed out. I'd get out of the house, working late. Probably you were at the office, and getting out early, working late. You don't see each other. We had soccer going on. We kind of miss the soccer, getting the kids out, but it was also very hectic. And some days we didn't even see each other. Now it's totally different. And so I hope that when this is all said and done, there is like we revert back to some kind of like, maybe everybody just works at home for a month, or we have more work from home days, or there's got to be some other changes where things can be handled virtually. For me, I've always worked, this whole business has been virtual for me. So this is not much of a change, but for others like you, I know it's a big change, but there's so many benefits to this way of life. Just keeping cars off the streets. There's no reason. Like, that's why I asked about the court system. There's really no reason for that. Like what you're talking about. There's no reason that's just an excuse. Oh, it's not secure.
Right.
Who gives a crap?
Yeah. Yep. Get me to yes.
Yeah. Well, now it is. It's secure now. I mean, like Zoom put a whole bunch. They've done 3 updates in a week. To implement more security for the Zoom bombers or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, how is it going to the courtroom any more secure? What are they worried about? Like, nobody's going to burst into your Zoom thing and threaten your life, or they're going to put in, like, might draw a dick picture on your, that's the worst it can happen.
Right. if that's the worst, yeah. Then
right.
We're
that's just silly. But I think that we're going to adapt, and, well, some people will. Some people will adapt. Some people will not.
Well, it's grow or die, right?
Yeah. And you're one of those that will. And we had a great talk the other day. So many great ideas. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to be pumping out, because you're like a genius marketer and always coming out with good stuff, and you always get good people to help you with it. So keep on pushing them. I think they want it, they want to have it. They need a good leader like you, buddy.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. And I don't think the marketing stuff is that hard. It's just be creative and act. And, I'll give you an example. So as last week, it's like, you might hear something 5 or 10 times and it won't resonate with you, but then that 11th time, or that for some people like me who might be a little slow sometimes, the 37th time I hear it, it's like, wow, that's amazing. Sometimes people be like, hey, I told you that like 10 times already, and you just discarded it. So I forgot where I found it, but it's the man in the arena quote from Teddy Roosevelt from over 100 years ago. And I don't have the exact quote. I'm sure you guys can find a way to edit that in here. But it's a great quote just about being the man in the arena, or woman in the arena, and just doing and acting and trying something, and don't worry about the person that scoffs at you or talks, crap or laughs, because they're not in the arena battling and working and trying. And I saw it last week somewhere. And I was just like, I've been thinking about it every day since, and I'm like, yeah, that's us. We have to be the men and women in the arena and just do stuff and get out of our comfort zone and screw it. Who cares?
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
It's funny that you said that, because I just was talking to Jim Keller earlier today, and we were talking about, he recommended the Roosevelts, which is a program on Netflix or something.
Okay.
And because they have been, the Roosevelts, all of them, hands down the best leaders in this country. And then you bring this up, talk about serendipity.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna watch that, add that, because like I've filled my mind with the cesspool of the Tiger King, and and most people have. Have you watched all of that? The Tiger King?
Oh, I have. Just look, don't come home with any sardine oil.
But you can't prosecute, there's just no use, there's nothing left but tiger trap.
Yes.
I didn't see Sunday nights.
I did. I'm all caught up on it.
Okay.
I don't know if that shed any new light. It just gave you like if you're just a little hungry for a little bit more, it just gave you a little bit more. But that's pretty much. I just want to know, like the world wants to know, if Carol Baskin killed her husband.
Right.
We've got to know.
Gotta know. I don't think we ever will, but we all have our own theories.
I think everybody's pretty much in agreement that, yep, she did.
A normal person would put upon my death, first sentence, upon my disappearance.
I don't know. I don't think she fed him to the tigers or anything like that, or put him in a meat grinder. But well, anyway, who knows? But yeah, the Roosevelts, that should be like Jim Keller said, it's wonderful. And especially in this time when we're craving leadership instead of temper tantrums and, poor me and all this rewriting of history. And that's something that I need to watch.
Right.
So you brought it up, and that's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic quote. So, I'm still, I would love to have it memorized one day, but I'm sure you guys and your listeners can find it. But again, I know I've heard it before, but just last week where I was at, just mentally and thinking about things, and I come across it, and it was the right time. So much of everything, of anything we do in life, is timing, right? There is no such thing as luck, really. I think it's just opportunity and preparation and seizing, when there's something that, an opportunity, and just taking action. So that just really spoke to me.
And get out of your bubble, Yeah. I mean, like, I think you'll agree with me that sometimes, just talk to other people. I mean, like, talk to other people that are, that's why I've been doing these podcasts so much, is because, like, I want people to hear, like what you were just saying, like you could say something to somebody over and over again.
Right.
But it might be that 48th time that they're like, that they really hear it, that they're open to hearing it. And, that's really why I'm doing this, because and I don't feel positive every day. I don't, like, some days I'm like, man, I'm just not feeling all that great about stuff, but you gotta get past that, because, hey, here it is. Now is the moment. And there is only one moment. Here it is. And it always is this one that we're living in.
Yeah.
So I want to ask this question. It's my new question. So tell me about lessons learned from this. Like, if you could go back and say, well, here's how I did things, and here's some lessons I've learned from this.
Lessons learned already. Number one, I would say be appreciative of what you have, because there's been people from age, I think, 2 to 100 that have died of this, right? We were told 2 months ago that it was just old people, right? It's clearly not true. Now we're being told it's just people, there's other things involved, but it can be anybody. So I think number one, forget about even business, just life. Be appreciative of what you have, so that's, I think, the very first thing, is just kind of take a step back. I mean, this kind of is the ultimate, like, course correction of life, and slowing down and just trying to, right. Our world will forever be different. That's why this is different than any other economic thing we've ever had, because those are usually slow and gradual. And even something like the Great Recession was fat. Well, some people think it was fast, but it really wasn't. It was still we had time. This, within the matter of weeks, our lives have completely changed. So I think that'd be the first thing.
Everyone's life has changed.
Yeah.
That's and there's no end really in sight, even though lots of people keep trying to say that there is.
Right.
We don't really know what that means and what it looks like. So.
Right. And then, I mean, we're luckily, like, you know, we can work. We're set up to work remotely. We have everything in the cloud. Personally, I've always liked paper files. We still keep paper files as backups and just so we can write on. And then last 3 weeks, I'm like, we don't need this shit. You know, we got everything in our CRM and everything in the cloud anyway. So that was just more of me being a baby and having my little comfort zone, you know, having like my little binky, you know, my little paper files, and we don't, you know, it's gone. I don't need it. So luckily we've been prepared. I know other people who weren't and have struggled tremendously. And just look, embracing technology, you know, like our friend Kellen Parks, right? They're big, you know, technology focused, and you know, we probably don't have half the technology they do, but we have enough to do what needs to be done. And just, you know, like anything, if you're not growing, you're dying, and if you're not coming up with new ways to do things. So like I love it. One of the reasons we've been able to grow is because I've embraced a lot of these things, whereas some of the old timers, you know, the good old boys in criminal defense law in South Florida, they don't do marketing. They don't believe in it. They don't have a web presence. That, you know, why? I've never needed it before. Well, those are some of the things that have allowed me, at you know, having my firm for 12 years, to surpass people who have been around 30, 40 years. You know,
There's people out there with no websites.
I'm sorry?
There's really law firms out there that don't have websites.
There's still some old time criminal lawyers, or they had one that was made 10 years ago and haven't done anything with it. They don't have, you know, any profiles online. You know, they're the ones that still think being AV rated is, you know, is what it's all about.
Right.
You know, little things like that. You know, look, the legal industry is always slow to adapt and change, because I think most lawyers are very conservative by nature, and you know, they don't have that entrepreneurial or that business mind. And that's one thing I've been really trying to grow that and cultivate that in myself over the last few years.
If you hadn't become a lawyer, what would you be?
Well, before I wanted to be a doctor at first. My dad's a dentist. And then I realized chemistry and biology and all those things were, you know, kind of suck. And I loved watching Law and Order. I think we talked about that last time. But, you know, I was a high school basketball coach for 10 years. And, you know, I don't know, maybe I'd be a, you know, either high school or college basketball coach. You know, I had some internal dialogue when I was in law school, because I hated it so much. And that's what led me to coaching. And I said to myself, I go, if I want to, I could be a college coach. I could be the next Billy Donovan. I could be, you know, roaming the sidelines, barking at people, winning, recruiting, you know, just at a very high level. I don't know. I really think anything I ever want to do, with few exceptions, I can do and excel at. But then I'm glad, you know, I love what I do now, and I'm glad that I didn't take that route, because I was able to coach high school and be a lawyer. I'm gonna coach my son, you know, and enjoy it. Maybe I'll get back like officially into coaching when he's a little older and stuff, but maybe, you know, never know.
I always wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I wanted to fly off carriers.
Like Top Gun?
Yep. But that was like, it wasn't because of Top Gun. My stepfather was a Navy pilot. He actually flew the Corsairs, the Corsair IIs, those off the carriers, and then he became a Eastern Airlines pilot and flew 727s, and I thought that was pretty cool way of life, and that's what I wanted to do.
Let me ask you this: do you need perfect vision to be a fighter pilot in the military, or is that a myth?
I don't think so anymore, but that's actually what derailed me.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I mean, I was a screw up anyway, but when I was a senior, I ended up getting glasses, and I was like, well, no, I can't be a pilot. And so I just kind of like fettered out, but plus, you know, I'm 6'2", and I couldn't, I think that you couldn't fly like, and back then it was F-18s. That's what I was looking at. And I don't think that you could, I think that I was too big for those. But I think that I made a bunch of excuses, honestly. And when I went into the Marine Corps, and my first MOS choice was avionics, that my recruiter talked me into. My first choice was avionics, then communications, because he said, well, you can work on the planes and then become a pilot. Well, I didn't know that was like, basically they just put you where they wanted you. It wasn't guaranteed. So I ended up going into comm, and yeah, anyway, rest is history. And it's funny, I actually a couple years ago started taking pilots lessons, flying lessons, and went up in the 172 and around down here in no, I can't remember, down here in Manassas or wherever it was. And oh my God, I was terrified. Terrifying experience with just that little, it's like a can. It's like a Coke can, those little Cessna 172. So
yeah.
But maybe that's because I waited so long, because now I don't really have any desire to fly the planes. But back, that was my, that's what I wanted to do.
Well, and you and I, you know, I'm tall as well, so we also can't be horse jockeys.
Right.
For that, you know.
Yeah, I'm not really good at that. I need to have a big horse that doesn't go very fast. Because last time I had a little horse that went fast, I almost broke my back. So yeah, I think that you and I ended up in the right place. Here we are, right? You're doing a great job for your clients and helping other lawyers and helping your buddies, local businesses in their time of need. And I certainly enjoy our friendship and talking to you. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing for the world, Adam Rossen.
Thank you.
And Chase Rossen, your boy, what a name.
Oh, I know.
Movie star, future movie star.
He's the man. He's 8 months. But you know, that's the thing. Like I'm able to see so much more now. I mean, it's tough that his daycare is closed, but overall, I mean, it really has been amazing. I mean,
yeah.
At 7.5 months, he's pulling himself up. He's trying to walk along the couch. He's grunting and groaning, and he's trying, you know, like it's really cool. Just every few days, he's a different kid.
Yeah.
So, you know,
and you'd be missing all that. So
yeah, exactly. In the grand scheme of things, look, I mean, it is what it is right now, but hopefully 6 months, a year from now, 3 months from now, whenever, 5 years from now, we'll look back and we'll all say we made it through, and you know, our life has changed, but there were a lot of blessings and a lot of great things that happened during this.
Time goes quick.
So yeah,
just stay present, stay in the moment, enjoy the moment, even though sometimes it looks like it's terrible. There's always good things, always good things.
Right.
Anyway, all right, Adam Rossen, thank you so much for being my guest again, and we'll have a three-peat, I'm sure, here in a few weeks again to catch up on things and see how things go when we're through all of this.
Let's do it. I love it.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Thank you. All right, everybody. It's Tom Foster, the world of marketing. Once again, hearing from a winner who doesn't have his head in the sand, is not crying, only doing good things. Talk to you soon, everybody. Take care.